Good day, you sexy internet travelers. Bailey here, and today we are back with the third installment of Kuzu no Honkai, so let's dive in. Now, in my anime watching experiences, I find that all too often animes, especially romance animes, have a notorious habit of significantly oversimplifying human emotion. Kuzu no Honkai demonstrated with this episode that in no way does it fall prey to this notorious habit. Instead, it creates a diverse array of emotional complexities explored through deeply introspective internal monologues and rather depressingly dark retrospection. We are immediately plunged into the first encounter Echan had with Hanabi that sparked her romantic feelings for her. Whilst riding on a subway, someone attempts to molest her and Hanabi steps in and takes the perpetrator's picture, immediately stopping him. And after this rather dark introduction, the story is really quite charming and refreshingly original, different from the typical transfer student slash accidentally grabbed her breasts slash childhood friend romance backstory that we receive all too often. We learn that Hanabi was Echan's first true love and was responsible for enlightening her to her sexual identity. And at first you sort of say, oh, that's sort of sweet. But then you remember that the feelings aren't mutual and you're like, oh my god, fuck my life. But it's not just that the feelings aren't mutual, because let's remember the way Hanabi herself phrased it. There is nothing more revolting than the affection of someone that you're completely disinterested in. So I'm sure this will turn out in the most lovely fashion. We then get to see the build-up to the moment where we left off last episode. Hanabi is laying next to Echan in bed, and Echan is quite quickly becoming overwhelmed with her emotions until she finally can't fight her temptation anymore, and she goes straight in to kiss Hanabi. We then get to learn why Echan is under the impression that Hanabi might have feelings for her, and acknowledging that her assumption is possibly wrong, she interrogates Hanabi to make her reveal that she isn't really interested in Mugi, and in this regard, Echan is remarkably perceptive to Hanabi's emotions, being able to discern that the whole thing with Mugi is just a front. But I think it's obvious that she was hoping that Hanabi was going to say that she was actually interested in her, when Hanabi unfortunately turns around and says that it's just that she has feelings for someone else and they aren't mutual. And thus we arrive at the train wreck. Echan pleads to Hanabi to be able to take Mugi's place and fulfill the role of being there to support her, and that's pretty much where we end that scene. Now, this is really incredibly confusing, because we know that Hanabi said that there's nothing more revolting than the affection of someone you're completely disinterested in. However, not only does she, considering what happened, look completely composed for the most part, but she also calls Echan beautiful. What? This is just totally baffling to me because it doesn't correspond at all with her previous sentiment. And I would try to guess how this is going to pan out, but every time I try to guess what's going to happen in Kuzu no Honkai, it just completely does the opposite of what I expected, so we will just wait and see. Afterwards, we dive into Mugi's backstory, and we get to see how romantically misguided Mugi really was and is. I think that we can probably assume that this girl, Mei Hayakawa, was his first romantic relationship, which Mugi himself unfortunately was not aware to what extent he had feelings for this girl, who, unfortunately, it appears was exploiting his feelings for sexual gratification. However, at the time, this Mei Hayakawa seems to be very well aware of the fact that Mugi has feelings for his teacher, so that is interesting that it goes that far back. Afterwards, we get to see the first sexual encounter of Mugi and Hanabi, and this scene is interesting on multiple levels. First, we get to see that Mugi obviously wasn't as apathetic at the start of their relationship as he currently is, and we also are enlightened to the fact that Hanabi looks to just be desperately seeking someone that would make her change her feelings about her teacher. Mugi, we then get to learn that Mugi's teacher is plethoras of bad business. We see Hanabi and Mugi sitting in a diner when all of a sudden Mugi's teacher walks in with a young man, and it is blatantly obvious they're not out on a late night tutoring session, and she doesn't really help herself by saying, let's keep this a secret. So now we learn that this kawaii little bunny face really just has cute little bunny outsides, but on the inside is just a nasty greasy man-bear pig. But unfortunately, as we all know, love is blind, and Mugi can't put two and two together. And now, between Mugi's feelings being strung along and Hanabi's teacher seemingly falling for her, Hanabi is overcome with seething hatred for this woman. So I think it will be quite interesting to see how this war will be waged, because I have very little doubt there will be war between these two. Now, I would conclude this episode with saying how I can't wait for next week's episode, but actually so far this anime has caused nothing less than unrelenting emotional angst. So instead, I will just say thank you for watching this review, and if you enjoyed it, please share, like, and subscribe for more. And as always, stay sexy, Internet Travelers.